Now go to Soapui and then you select the actual WSTL that you're trying to test, and then you can give a particular name for your project. What is the name you want to give it? And then make sure those two options are selected and then press OK. It'll ask you if it wants to create a default test suite, so you can say OK for that, and you can give a name for the test suite as well. It's gonna pop up again, but you can go ahead and just cancel it. Okay, so now you're ready, your test suite is ready, and your sample request is ready as well. So just click on the sample request. So we can test the very first message by giving some values for the from and to currency. So basically this currency converter has two parameters, the from currency and the to currency. And now based on the values and the parameters that we give for these different values, we can see the expected response. You can see it's giving a value of -1, which is actually incorrect. So that could be sometimes an issue with the actual web service. The web service itself could be down sometimes, and I believe at this moment it is down. Okay, so now we go ahead and create a data source. So we want to simulate the data source with multiple test cases instead of us going and individually testing each and every web application. We can go ahead and create a data source, and you can choose the parameters again, and then that's about it. So when we go to the data source, we have multiple choices for the actual data source. The one is the grid that is by default there. Grid basically implies that you're giving a from currency and to currency values within the grid itself. It's kind of like an Excel sheet, except that you don't have to import the Excel sheet. You can directly be using the grid for giving the values that you want to be testing. So you can go ahead and give whatever values you may choose. And so I'm just giving some random values at the moment to see uh, to just explain how this process is going on. And that should be it. And then let me choose euro to INR to USD. And one more to go. We just add some values for that as well. And that should be it. That should be the last one. Okay, so once you create the test source or the data source that is actually letting you test it, so you're basically telling your SOAP UI to go and test for each and every row of this particular grid. So you can also test the grid values to make sure it's all coming up correctly by clicking the play button. The green button is the play button. Now we're going to choose a file, so we can use an external file. So I'm going to open a particular file that I've saved in my work area, and then we can take it from there. So I'll just show you what the contents of this test data is. We can also see the contents directly using the SOAP UI. It's okay if it says it is unsupported format. It is still going to read it, so do not worry about that. So I'm going to add the properties again. I should actually remove it, but it's okay. You just go ahead and add the required properties. So the from and the two currencies. Okay, that's about it. Now we can go ahead and test the data source by clicking on the play button. So as you can see, it's reading my data source. It's printing out all the values. So this is my data source. You can see all the comma separated values are getting printed for the from and the from the two currencies. So depending on the number of parameters you have, those are the number of columns you will have in your data source. Hopefully that explains a lot of things to you guys. So after creating the data source, we have something called as the data loop. This gives you an option to automatically create while creating the data source. So you should already be seeing the data source loop there. So I'm just configuring the data source loop parameters to make sure it's clean. Now let's go back to the test suite and make sure that we do not choose single values. Instead, we choose the values that we get from the data source. So go ahead and choose, right click, and then say choose from the data source and choose the two currency there. Yep, so that should be it. Now we are ready with our test suite. You can go to the top test case and we can actually run the test case from there. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go in a loop and read each and every row of your data source and go and execute it, basically firing off all your web services. So you can go ahead and you can add assertions to your test case. So for example, I can go ahead and add a simple assertion in this test case. So as you can see, I'm going and adding a basic SLA assertion that basically tells me that I must be getting my response within 2000 milliseconds. I can add some other SLAs like certain fields, what the response must contain, and a lot of other things like that. So that should be it. So you can use parameters like ignore case and things like that. So now let's go back ahead and just run this case again. Right. So it looks like it has completed the test case. Now let's take a look at the transaction log. And as you can see, it's doing the row by row evaluation and defining the web service and seeing the response. So again, like I told you, since the web service is down at the moment, it's the reason we're seeing a -1. But nevertheless, this should work enough to satisfy the testing the mechanism for the web services using the SOAP protocol. Next, we're going to go ahead and test with RESTful web services, and that should be it. By the way, I did this for my beautiful wife, who's here right now. Say hi, Ramya. Hi. Okay, bye.